We're constantly surrounded by two things we can't see, touch, or get away from: time and space. We live our entire lives in them. But what if our whole idea of what they are is just a little bit off? Let's take a look at a whole new perspective.
It sounds like such a simple question, right? I mean, we measure time down to the tiniest fraction of a second. But if you actually try to explain what it is, the thing itself, well, that's when things get complicated fast.
And get this, over 1,600 years ago, Augustine of Hippo he completely nailed this feeling. You know what time is until someone asks you to define it. Then it just slips right through your fingers. This isn't some new problem. It's a puzzle we've been trying to solve for literally centuries. Okay, so let's try a completely different approach. We're going to look at what we could call reality's inherent conditions. And this new perspective, well, it might just offer a surprisingly simple way to cut through all that confusion. So for a minute, just forget everything you've heard about time and space being forces or weird dimensions or some kind of cosmic fabric. What if they aren't things at all? This new perspective suggests they're actually the fundamental conditions that allow reality to even exist. And this is absolutely the crucial point. As inherent conditions, they don't do a single thing. They don't bend or flow or cause stuff to happen. They're just the silent, invisible stage where the entire drama of the universe plays out. So, how does this actually work? Let's start with time and really try to unpack what we mean by the present moment. Seen this way, time becomes incredibly simple. It's not some river that's sweeping us along. Nope. It's just our word for a basic fact. Reality exists, and it keeps on insisting, continuously. That's it. That's time. Now, this is a really subtle but profound shift in thinking. It means the present isn't some tiny little sliver of a moment that's zipping forward. No, it's the permanent state where reality is always happening. The past, that was just a bunch of former presents. And the future, that'll be a series of upcoming presents. And if you follow that logic, imagine a universe with absolutely nothing in it. No matter, no energy, just emptiness. Well, that emptiness would still exist from one moment to the next. That continuation, that simple endurance, that is time. Clocks don't create it, they just measure it. All right, so that's time. Now what about its partner, space? We can use the exact same logic and see it in a whole new way too. You see, just like time isn't a thing, neither is space. It's simply the open emptiness that allows things to exist and have a position. It's what allows for separation and location. Basically, it's the arena where all the action happens. This simple definition immediately gets us into one of those classic, totally mind-bending questions. If space is the arena, well, does that arena have walls? Is there an edge? Go ahead, try it in your head right now. Picture an edge to space. Now, what's on the other side of that edge? The only thing you can possibly imagine is more space. This little thought experiment kind of suggests that space, this condition of emptiness, has to be limitless. Okay, so we've got our new lens. Time is ongoing existence, and space is open emptiness. Now for the fun part. Let's use this lens to take a fresh look at some really big ideas from modern physics. We're always told that time is the fourth dimension, but that doesn't really feel right, does it? I mean, we can move back and forth in space, but we're stuck going one way in time. So is calling it a dimension a literal fact, or is it something else? Well, from our new perspective, calling time the fourth dimension is an incredibly powerful mathematical tool. It helps physicists make unbelievably accurate predictions. But maybe that's all it is. A brilliant way to model reality, not a literal description of it. The map is not the territory. Okay, next up is the idea of space-time as this fabric that gets curved. We've all seen that classic analogy for gravity, right? The bowling ball on a trampoline. But hang on, there's a huge flaw in that analogy. Think about it. What makes the bowling ball sink into the trampoline? Gravity. The analogy for gravity actually needs gravity to work. This really suggests that space-time curvature isn't a physical thing happening, but a really smart mathematical description of what we see gravity do. And that brings us to one of the biggest, most mind-boggling questions in all of cosmology. If the universe is expanding, what in the world is it expanding into? So the standard answer you'll hear is that space itself is expanding, kind of like the surface of a balloon being inflated. But if space is just fundamental emptiness, how can emptiness stretch? This really makes you wonder, are we talking about something physical happening, or are we just describing how our mathematical models behave? So, after poking at all these enormous ideas, let's bring it all the way back to the simple, foundational idea that this entire perspective is built on.
It all comes down to this one totally undeniable observation. We're not starting with some complicated theory. We're starting with the most basic fact there is. Reality exists. Everything else just flows from that.
So, here's the big takeaway: time and space aren't the actors in this cosmic play. They're the stage. Time is just the simple fact that the play keeps going, and space is just the emptiness that gives all the actors room to perform. Now, looking at time and space this way doesn't solve every mystery, not at all. In fact, it kind of shines a huge spotlight on the biggest mystery of all. If time is just existence and space is just emptiness, then what is this reality that's performing on the stage? And that's a question worth pondering.